Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into Germany's Lower Saxony. Now, you might picture beautiful landscapes, right? But beneath that serene surface, there's a serious crisis brewing. It's a fight against addiction, and it's tearing through communities. And what's really interesting is that this fight is happening on two completely different fronts.
And that really gets to the heart of it. See, this isn't just one war on drugs. It's two, happening at the exact same time. On one hand, you've got the stuff that makes headlines, police raids, organized crime, you know the drill. But on the other hand, there's a much quieter, much more personal battle going on. It's the individual's fight just to survive addiction.
All right, so let's tackle that first front, the official crackdown on the big-time criminals. And believe me, investigators in Lower Saxony are not messing around. They're making it crystal clear they're taking this head-on.
And when I say they're taking it seriously, I mean the response has been absolutely massive. We're not talking about a few small busts here and there. Nope. We're talking large-scale coordinated raids in places like Hanover and other cities, all aimed at taking down professional drug gangs. And what these operations have done is pull back the curtain on these huge trafficking rings. These guys were moving marijuana, cocaine, and amphetamines way outside the region's borders. It just goes to show how organized this whole criminal network really is.
Okay, to really give you a picture of the scale we're talking about, get this. In just one bust in a town called Orich, police grabbed over 20 kilograms, that's like 44 pounds, of marijuana from a single van. A haul that size, that's not just a sign of a criminal operation. It screams that there's a huge market of people buying it. And that leads us perfectly to the other, second front in this war.
So you've got the police fighting the supply chain. At the same time, you have addiction experts who are dealing with the demand side of the equation. And for them, there's one drug in particular that's raising some major red flags: cocaine.
So what do you think of when you hear cocaine? For a lot of people, it's just a party drug, right? Something you can dabble in, something you can control. Well, what the experts on the ground in Lower Saxony are witnessing, it tells a much, much darker story.
Yeah, for so many people caught up in this, it has absolutely nothing to do with parties. The experts are seeing it being used as an escape, a way out from the harsh realities of being unemployed, of feeling hopeless. So it's not the cause of the problem, it's a symptom of something much deeper in society. And the personal fallout? It's just devastating.
And I mean, the consequences are severe. The psychological grip that cocaine can get on you is incredibly powerful. It can kickstart this terrible downward spiral, starting with anxiety and depression, and in some cases leading all the way to full-blown psychosis. We're talking about a complete unraveling of a person's mental well-being. It really shows you just how high the personal stakes are in this crisis.
Okay, so when you've got a crisis this big, you'd hope there's a strong support system in place to help people, right? Well, there is, but here's the twist. That very system is under a huge amount of strain, and, frankly, it's facing its own battle for survival.
And this is the paradox, right here. On one side, you have this rising tide of people needing addiction counseling. But on the other, the very centers that provide that help are dealing with budget cuts and have to rely on donations just to keep the lights on. And yet, and this is what's amazing, despite all that pressure, the response is pretty remarkable. They're still pushing hard with prevention programs in schools. There's a central state office making sure that anyone can get counseling that's both free and anonymous. They are doing absolutely vital work, even while fighting for every penny. Which brings us to, honestly, the most important part of this whole story. Because in the middle of all this struggle, there is hope. There is help out there. The big question is, where do people find it? Okay, if there's one thing to take away from this, it's that nobody has to go through this alone. The main place to start is the State Office for Addiction Issues, the LSN. Plus, you've got local counseling centers in big cities like Hanover, Braunschweig, and Göttingen. And here are the two most critical things you need to know. All of these services are totally free, and they are completely anonymous. The entire system is built to be safe and to remove as many barriers as possible for people who need help.
And that really gets to the core message coming from the counselors and support workers, the people on the front lines of this thing every single day. It's a message of pure empathy and solidarity, and it's aimed at anyone out there who might be struggling. And the message is simple. You are not different. You are not alone.
So, That leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? What we're seeing in Lower Saxony is a crisis that's about crime, yes, but it's also about public health. It's about police raids, but it's also about deep personal despair. And it really makes you think, in a fight that's being waged on so many different fronts, where does the real battle for a better future actually begin? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.